Literally not even 3 seconds later, I just hit the record again from the last video, so let's get on it. Because once again, you guys are all in my comment sections. I'm not doing any more. I'm not doing all 50. All right, it's not happening. We're going to Connecticut, so let's check it out. Check it out, y'all. The Funk Soul Brother. Check it out, y'all. Connecticut, you're up next. Connecticut, Badwolf's coming for you. All right. Let's see what we got here. Once again, bringing up images. Looks like a nice state. All right, so it's pulling from the motor vehicle taxation in the DMV. Once again, standard challenges on these words. They're all commercial. Nothing regulates private travel. Once again, they can't. So let's see what it dug up for me.
Con General Stat Section 14-12A, registration required for motor vehicles. This is Connecticut's general registration requirement. But problems immediately appear. The statute never defines resident, even though the duty to register hinges on residency.
Okay. Keep going.
Vagueness/due process violation.
Oh,
Con General Stat Section 14-153 defines motor vehicle with language consistent with commercial transportation.
okay, go on.
Private conveyances are not expressly included. Operate in Connecticut equals.
All right. Let's keep going.
To intentionally engage the machinery of a vehicle. Courts routinely apply this meaning to commercial and public behavior. Private travel is not addressed. 2. Con General Stat Section 14-34, reciprocity for non-resident motor vehicles. This statute is Connecticut's primary non-resident vehicle regulation. What it covers: vehicles registered in another jurisdiction, vehicles used for transportation of goods or persons, vehicles used for hire, for business, or for compensation. What it does not cover: private non-commercial travelers, non-resident private automobiles, private conveyances not engaged in commerce. Another statutory omission. 3.
Okay, here's where it gets good. This is why I tell you guys, because some states don't have this statute, but let's see if we can take it apart.
Con General Stat Section 14-213, operating a motor vehicle without a license.
Showtime.
This statute is often misapplied to private travelers. However, operate defined commercially.
So, right out of the gate, what do they mean? What does this mean on the legal level? What are they saying here? How are they misapplying this? So, I'm in Connecticut
Operating a motor vehicle without a license.
and I'm traveling down the road, and some cop decides, hey, I don't like that plate, even though that's against the law. I'm going to pull him over. Woo! Oh, here's your ticket. You're operating a motor vehicle without a license. I'm going to ticket, tag, and tow. Well, I've made videos on how to deal with that on, so watch those videos for all that. But is he right or is he wrong? If you've done everything right, he is wrong, and he's already broken the law in two different accounts just by the things I just said that happened. Why? because if you've done everything right, operating is commercial. You're not doing anything commercial. You're not operating in the public. You're not that entity. You're not operating. The vehicle's ownership is underneath your private entity. Motor vehicle. Your car can only be called a motor vehicle if it's registered. If it's not registered to them, and this does not mean that they can see that in the DMV record that it's owned by somebody. That doesn't make it a motor vehicle. That shows ownership. That ownership, if put into a private entity, nation, government that's foreign and private, and you have not registered that entity to the state or the government, they cannot call it a motor vehicle by legal law level. Only the person who owns the vehicle can give it a definition by law. You have to have ownership. But you, when you buy the car and you register it to them, you've turned your private automobile conveyance into a motor vehicle. And a motor vehicle is for profit. Your name is tainted. Your name is registered to the state and the government to vote. Those are benefits for their citizens under the 14th Amendment, slaves, employees, contractors, property, sureties. They're legal persons. A U.S. citizen is a business of the United States. So when you registered your name to them, anything then under that registered name is also their property. If I'm a slave and I have kids, guess what? Them ain't my kids. They're the masters. Everything about me is registered to the master, the slave owner. Everything I then create then on until that changes officially is his property. This is why the slave masters could do whatever they wanted to do to your entire generation until slavery was abolished. He paid for that person, and that person became his property, all capitalized name. So he could, and this is not me being funny, this is me being real. They would do things called buck busting, where the master would sometimes esse the biggest slave, Diddy style, show dominance, control. You've broken that male. If he wanted your wife, he would take your wife. This is where some light-skinned people, their lineage came from, not all, because the slave got violated, then produced the light-skinned ones, and those became known as the house slaves. And that's where a good chunk of the whole dark people versus light people rivalry came from, for those who want to know the history. You have kids, either you and your lady, if you're slaves, your kids are his property, so he would sell them or do what he wanted to do. Now you understand what's going on with your name being registered. I revocated and rescinded my right to vote like 10 years ago. Do you have to do that? No, not at all. But for me, it's another casino chip on the stack of me saying, I'm not even registered in this state to vote. It has been rescinded, removed, closed out. So how do you then again have jurisdiction over me unless I give it to you? I will jump in your commercial pool if and when I want to, and then I will jump out. But see, they can't do that because they're in public office. But when they get home, they are then back in the private. But while you're dealing with them as a police officer, as a judge, as a lawyer, as a whatever, they're in public office and they are held and bound to certain rules, laws, etc. And guess who overstands those rules, laws, and then ergo those people while in public office. We the people, per the Constitution, per the Declaration of Independence, per all of that. So they're stating here operating a motor vehicle without a license, but they're using this code to go after people who do private travel, which is why they have been hit with lawsuits, and more will come. Why? Because operate is commercial, motor vehicle is commercial. Driver, operator, in Black Law's dictionary says one employed in transportation. Employed, money, military term, maritime jurisdiction, civil, public, transport, port. Trans is to move, change. Port is a dock where goods come in. Ation, to animate, a thing. So there is no statute explicitly requiring a private non-resident traveler to obtain a Connecticut operator's license unless they choose to engage in commerce. Fact. Now, they don't have to have a definition of private automobile, but they should. But they don't want to bring any light to this. So they're like, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Nope. But if they don't talk about it, which they really can't to a degree, they can say a private automobile is anybody who's not registered to us. They can say that and be nice, but they don't want to. You're opening the door. They don't want to do that. Legally, from their perspective, I wouldn't either. It's easier to hope that you guys don't get smarter, learn from me, or figure it out on your own. That hey, you guys, I wasn't operating without a license. I was using my private automobile, and you don't have any. But see, if you don't argue their point that this is either vague or misapplied, then they're just gonna run over you. So, in its deep dive, it did not find any legislature within their corporate state, not the organic, where it says that they can regulate private travel. So your argument is going to be private travel. Once again, here's more court cases. So these are also called opinions when they're done on the Supreme Court level. We have a right to interstate travel, meaning you can travel between the states. Okay. States cannot burden your travel. This court case right here can be also used. So this one right here, a lot of the naysayers will argue that this really just means, and they're right, your motion, locomotion, the ability to ebb and flow, go from here to there between the states. This is correct. You can use this one, but it's not a strong case. This one says the states cannot burden your travel. This is stronger. Police officer pulls you over for no reason because you're a private plate. He's burdening your travel. It's a lawsuit. You quote this in federal court, you win. States cannot hinder travel for private citizens. This is awesome as Fizzuck right here. Strong as shit. They established back in 1867 that the state, notice how it's a lowercase s here too, cannot hinder travel for private citizens. What does that mean? That means they cannot. So even if they were, let's just say this court case was really just talking about your ability to go to Illinois. Let's just say you're going to walk there, or you got a bike, and then let's say in the whole thing here they were not talking about a vehicle. Okay, because that's what a lot of the naysayers like to argue. Well, the law states that if you interpret this and can use this to make your point, and it cannot be defeated. This then can be used as a fact. So I would argue, even though this may have been, let's say, for using your I don't know, bike or something, I'm going to say, well, Your Honor, in Crandall versus Nevada, 73 U.S. 35 1867, it was already adjudicated that the states cannot hinder your travel for private citizens. So, if this being the case, I was in my private automobile as a private citizen, and my travel was hindered. Is there not some precedence in that? He would have to hem and haw for a second, but then he's going to be like, well, if you individually as a private person and you have a private vehicle, not for commercial use, business or enterprise, yeah, I could see your argument there. That's how you win in court, even if it's not a direct thing. I haven't read this court case in full, so I don't know. I'm just giving you worst case scenario. Kent versus Dulles, 357, follow that ass. Liberty includes right to travel. What does this mean? So once again, the naysayers are going to say, well, you're just talking about actually going from one place to another. Okay, but once again, I can still make the argument that I do have, in fact, the liberty to travel and the right in a private conveyance using all of this together. States cannot compel registration. So if there's no law requiring you to be licensed or registered unless you're doing something commercial or dangerous, if they can't compel you for normal things to get a license or to be registered, that means they have no jurisdiction over the private, and you can use your vehicle privately when done correctly. The legislative intent here is that it's commercial. The Constitution backs our right to travel. The courts, federal and supreme, have backed us on constitutional right to travel. They don't have resident defined, or it's vague. All right. Shazam. That is it. Oh, Diddy mad in the mung right now, boy. Woo. Well, if you're a devil doing demon things, your dirt is bound to be seen. Everything comes to light, done in darkness. So just be right. That's it. I don't understand and I don't want to. I want to overstand. Hell, you are, and I get it though. I get it now. I see. You're a billionaire, but he got there through dirty means, and all that money, and it's still not enough. You got to go for all of the taboo, the wicked, the dirty things, hurt people, and whatever else. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know. If I was ever to be a billionaire, which will probably not ever happen in this reality, I would probably give all that money away. I mean, not every dollar, I'm not stupid. But let's say I had like $30 billion. I would probably give away 29 of it and keep one. Why? For me personally, I just want to keep that $1 billion, maybe a little hair over to say I'm a billionaire. Anything over that, I don't care, man. Build shelters and help people and do what's right. Everybody's afraid to just say what they really want to say and to be good. I gotta seem dirty. I gotta seem like I'm a prosty. I'm gonna dress like a prosty. I'm gonna act like I'm a pimp or whatever else. Everybody wants to be all the bad things. Everybody now wants to be a gangster until a real one walks through. Just be yourself. Just be cool. Just be smooth. Be a good person. That's why I have not done, let me say this carefully, anything that I need to watch my back for. I'm not saying I'm an angel. Some of y'all don't know how I used to be on the streets and get down. All right, so don't let it fool you. All right. This right here, the bad wolf, this is a persona for this medium. Though this is me, I have other sides to my personality. I do have multiple facets. So I'm not an angel by no means. But in the things that I've done, I've always tried to make sure that whatever I'm doing is not something that I have to worry about any agency, anybody, any gang, any family, all of which I've run with that would come back on me and be a problem. Just don't. Just be cool. Not that hard. So y'all be cool. I'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy yourselves. Three more to go.